a grand military parade in Washington. Now, during Trump's first presidential term, he proposed having a parade after seeing one in France on Bastille Day in 2017.
A lot of people looking at this and saying, this is what dictators do. A lot of Trump's critics saying he's having a parade not to honor veterans, not to honor the military, but to honor himself.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. Why are we holding a military parade for a draft dodger? I'll ask again, just so the awful irony can sink in. Why are we holding a military parade for a draft dodger, someone who managed not once, not twice, but 5 times to pull strings so he wouldn't have to serve in the military, and who has spent the years since then mocking POWs, describing those who did serve as suckers and those who gave their lives as losers? I'll tell you this much. The military doesn't want any part of this ridiculous charade. It's not what we do. But don't take my word for it. I asked 2 of my closest friends, audience favorite Bobby Jones, a former Navy task group commander, and Dan Barkhuff, an ex-Navy SEAL who founded Veterans for Responsible Leadership. You don't want to miss this one, and don't forget to check out their podcast, The Gedunk Show, on the VALOR Media Network YouTube channel.
Hi, Bobby Jones here for MeidasTouch Network and VALOR Media. And today I have my homeboy, my brother from another mother, Dan Barkhuff, because there's a topic we want to talk about. Why do you think this man is hell-bent on getting rid of Veterans Day, but at the same time wants to have a military parade down the streets of D.C., Washington, D.C. on June 14th? Make this make sense.
Bobby, there's so much to unpack there. I don't know where to begin. Okay, military parades. For you guys out there who may not have perspective on this, parades are fucking stupid, okay? Nobody likes them. Nobody likes them. This is what happens when they have a military parade, okay? If you are, let's say the parade is, noon. You're supposed to be walking by the White House. So for the front 3 weeks before the parade, you're going to spend all day practicing. You're going to have minimum 5 inspections of your uniform. You're going to, let's say you're at the Naval Academy, maybe a 45-minute drive from the White House, probably to leave to get ready for that parade. You're going to leave the Naval Academy around 3:30 in the morning on a bus. They're going to hand you a box lunch. You're going to get to D.C. You're going to stand there and just stand there. You're not going to be able to sit down because you're wearing a uniform. And
for hours.
You're just going to stand in place. Also, Donald Trump can get his big special birthday parade, which is just stupid shit they do in North Korea and the Soviet Union. And apparently it happened in France. I don't know what the French were thinking, but that was the thing that sort of ticked it all off, where he was like, I got to have a military parade. People in the military do not want to do parades. They think it's lame. They think it's cringe. They think it's stupid. And furthermore, I, as an actual veteran, associate it with like tin pot dictatorships, right? It's just
Bingo.
The missiles through Red Square. These are ICBMs. Fear us. We're going to bury you in the West. It's really kind of like it's like, man, are we going to talk softly and carry a big stick, or are we just going to talk about how big our stick is? It's kind of weird.
No, I'm glad you hit on this. And for everybody watching, Dan is not just a veteran. He's a former Navy SEAL. He has done hard things for United States military. My background being a Navy guy, we have deployed all over the world. And the last thing anybody who's done this wants to do is, like he just said, go and do a parade. So here's my thoughts on why.
Wait. Bobby, question for you.
Yeah.
When you came back, so Bobby was commanded a U.S. Navy ship, right? So when you're coming back into port, did you guys have to put on the whites and stand at the rails and as the ship?
Yeah, when I was, Exxon, Anzios, all that stuff, the classic, you come in, that's it. And guess what? You grab your stuff, you see your family, and you go home. You get the hell out of Dodge because you've been gone for 8-9 months.
You don't want to march down the street.
No. And so the thing is, I think people need to understand is, the American military, we've done parades, when we won World War II, Desert Storm, I remember that. Heck, we fought in the longest war in American history. No parades, no nothing. We just came home, right? This is all about one person. Yep. One person. And it's his I want to be Putin. I want to be Kim moment. I want to have military walk in front of me where they have to look and acknowledge me as their leader. It's an ego thing. And so I've been thinking about this for a while, Dan.
Yeah,
why
he's into it for the salutes. He wants them to walk by, salute, do that whole thing. And
which no commander in chief, if you really care about your guys, if you care about the troops, as he loves to say he does, would do. But when I think about it, he's had a problem with military members and veterans his entire life. From the time he was supposed to go to Vietnam and got 4 deferments for college and 1 for bone spurs. That's 5 total deferments. And because of that, he hated the vets that were in Congress like John McCain. Hated them. Went out of his way to talk trash about them. Okay. He's in charge of, he's president of the United States. The VA is now going through cuts. The Veteran Affairs Department is going through cuts that are supposed to help veterans. And now he wants to actually change the name of Veterans Day and eliminate it. He doesn't even want it on the calendar. This is after, in his first term, he talked about suckers and losers in the dang freaking graveyards over in France from World War II. There is nothing actionable that he has done that shows that he actually cares about military and veterans. You had your opportunity to serve. You chose not to. Yeah. You go in front of the military when you want to feel powerful. Every time he had a controversy or something in his first term, he'd go find the nearest base and stand in front of troops to change the subject. And now you put in a guy in charge of the Department of Defense, HEXA, that is a leaking sieve, that is overwhelmed with the job. He's had multiple scandals since getting there, but you won't fire him because you don't know who would actually be competent that would want to work for you in that position. It's not about the troops. It's about him. It's about him.
What he wants is, a bunch of buff-looking dudes marching in front of him who are going to do eyes right as they pass a reviewing stand, and somebody's going to salute and whatever. And it's really, I have a son. My son is 6 years old, and if he was like, "Daddy, I'm going to do a parade with my little green army men," and they're going to I'd be like, "All right, I guess that's kind of cringe, man, but you're 6. I'm going to let it slide." If he was like 12 and he was doing that, I'd be like, "Man, we need to talk to your doctor about maybe getting therapy or something, because things are getting kind of weird." This is Donald Trump, little boy. My brain doesn't understand what the military is, what a veteran is, and why they served, and how to appropriately honor them. And by honor them, what I mean is provide them what they need to do their job, take care of them after they've come home, and not put an alcoholic talk weenie in charge of the DOD. And Trump is, if anything, he's historically obsessed with appearances.
Yes.
And what I promise him is this is not going to look the way you think it's going to look. It's going to look fucking stupid.
Yes.
And you heard it here first. Heard it first, folks.
Yeah.
It's going to look dumb as fuck, and no one's going to be into it. And there's, he's going to bust some MAGA people in there to wave signs, but people in the military, I guarantee everybody who is bust up from AP Hill or Fort Pickett or Fort Bragg to march in a fucking parade in Washington, D.C. in the middle of the summer is going to be pissed.
Yes.
It is a bad idea. It is stupid. And as such, it's perfect for Donald Trump.
Now, I'm glad you brought up how stupid it's going to look, because the latest cost estimate, price tag of this is around $90 million, which I don't know if I was Doge, I'd be on this like a hobo on a ham sandwich, right? But apparently, as he told Kristen Welker in his Meet the Press interview, that's peanuts compared to the value that it will raise. Value to who? As those of us who march in parades are looking around like, I don't understand that. And then when you factor in the fact that the military members who are participating can't speak up if they want it or not, because, and I say this for those who are always in the comments, why don't the military say something? Because the American military is not allowed to speak politically. They are not. From day one, you were taught you cannot speak politically, whether you're right, left, center, it doesn't matter. You don't speak. We're not allowed to. You can actually get in serious trouble doing it because the military is supposed to be apolitical.
Right.
It's a good reason. It's a great reason. That's one of the reasons we don't have.
We don't have military coups because the professional ethos of the military is You know, if it's a legal order, I'm going to follow it, even if it's stupid. Like, I don't know, invading Iraq. It was stupid, but it was legal, right? So,
but that's why veterans who have already served, who are out, are the ones you'll hear speaking up, because we're just like, we know this is dumb. We know what they're thinking because we were that group, and we're the only ones that can really speak up on the experience.
It's so cringe, man.
Right. Hegseth has gone out of his way to talk about how much the troops love going for Donald Trump, and we're going to see the recruiting numbers go up. I'm like, look, let's wait a year and see what happens. Let's just wait a year and see what happens. Let's see what you retain and what you recruit, especially if you do this June 14th thing. Can't wait.
Especially if, I mean, let's see if Pete Hegseth is still the SecDef in a year.
That's true, too.
I mean, that dude's living on borrowed time. He is on his way out. There is just no way. Trump's going to give it enough time post-Signalgate, and then he's going to kick in Hegseth. And as he should, right? Like, I mean, I don't know who's going to replace Hegseth, but it's I can't even say it's got to be better. But
well, that's just it. If you know a position, someone who's qualified for a position, who actually understands what they're supposed to be doing, and that's the job, I don't know how many people are loyal enough for Donald Trump that meets that criteria. Right? And here's the thing. We've had other presidents in the past who picked Secretary of Defenses that politically were not necessarily aligned with them. You know, that, you know, they were Republican, the president was Democrat, or vice versa. It was about competency, because the one thing you did not want to mess with was actual national security. We're talking about Veterans Day being changed, but the Veterans Day thing is a symptom to a larger systemic problem that we're dealing with. And that is, we do not have professionals at the highest levels of American government right now. We have loyalists who are not actually good at the job. They at best are clowns, and they create distractions to try to usurp the Constitution. That's what we're seeing.
That's all Trump is. He's just all smoke and mirrors. There's nothing substantive to him. Well, I take that back. There are kernels of evil that are truly substantive. Stephen Miller is a garbage human being, but he strikes me as somebody who's figured out how Washington, D.C. works and is moving it to get what he wants. So, but many of the people, especially in his cabinet that he's appointed, are just no talent ass clowns.
They're loyalists. They're there because they're loyal. And so this Veterans Day change, this parade, all this stuff that he's trying to wrap the military up in, because the military still historically is one of the most respected institutions in American society. He needs the legitimacy. He needs the validation. He needs the ego boost. That's where we are as a country. We're going to cut it off there, but I just wanted to get a subject matter expert on all things military, not just myself, but Dan Barkhuff. Thanks for coming on, man. And you can catch us on VALOR Media Network, and we'll still be posting here on MeidasTouch.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.